Good afternoon. This is William McKissock with Schooley Mitchell, your expense reduction specialist. And this afternoon, I have with me Maureen Famiano. She is the CEO of MEFMedia. Maureen's had like over 30 years television and media experience. She's worked locally with NBC for over 15 years. And also you've done over 4 years with CBS. What your company does is you're a PR, video, media strategy, and branding plus pitching to the media organization. So you can help businesses get in front of media to market themselves and become more known to the public. So I have a few questions I'd like to ask you, Maureen. First of all, how are you able to stay focused during this COVID-19 period that we're all struggling with?
Well, William, it's a pleasure to see you this way. Last time we saw each other was truly in person a bit ago. So nice to talk to you again. Thank you very much for having me on your show. For the COVID-19, really for my background, I was in news for 30 years. And in the news business, you know, we would have breaking news every day. And you can't say, oh, I can't figure out what we're going to do. I'll get back to you tomorrow. You can't do that. The newscast goes on at a certain time, at a certain hour. So for me, COVID has been the biggest story of our lifetime, truly, but you have to fix it. You have to figure out what you're going to do about it. So for me, it was pivoting because we did that every day. So that's when I had to tell the different clients that I was working with and even people that I would meet, kind of guide them to say, okay, well, you can't close the door, turn the lights down low and come back in a week. You got to figure out how to let people know that you are open, that you can help them, that you can provide a service. And once I kind of showed people that mentality or that thinking, they're like, oh, you're right. What do we need to do? And then I'd go from there.
Oh, cool. So what exactly do you do to help businesses promote the videos and record them, etc.? So what are you doing and what are you trying to achieve in that?
So really for me, like this forum right here, it's a video presentation, right, William? And for me in the television lane, it's always about the visual, always about the connecting with the video means. So it's with businesses telling them that while you have a website, that's great with some beautiful pictures, but they can't get to know your energy or their dynamicness just by those images necessarily. So you have to convey what you do in your business, what you do in your solopreneurship, what you do as an entrepreneur with a video, either telling a story with a video or showcasing what you do as your skill set. It goes a long way for somebody really understanding who you are to understand that they've got to pick up the phone and make a call because they like your vibe, they like the way you're talking to them. They get to know you visually as opposed to just an image, which they can't really get to know you that way.
So can you go a little bit deeper there in how it actually helps businesses being on video and promoting themselves in this way?
Absolutely. So when I was working with some people as COVID was really breaking and we didn't know we would be closed for months, we weren't really sure what that meant. So I said, well, right now you have to let businesses and people and colleagues and friends and associates know that you're open. So what does that look like? It means at the time, talking into the camera, I would guide them. I would ask questions differently from my years in the business to get the different messaging out there that, hi, we are open, we can deliver, we can practice all the things that we've had to practice to let people know, oh, I can still get my, business with, anything for the home or for your pets or your favorite restaurant. So I would walk them through that. We could either do the interview or we could do showcasing again what they do, showcasing what the behind the scenes looks like, or whoever stumbles upon that video is like, oh, they're taking all the safety precautions. Great. They're still open. I didn't know if they were. You answer that question. So I'd really walk them through a bunch of questions to figure out which is the best thing for them to move the needle to have somebody get in touch with them. And I've done dozens of videos during COVID and guiding them and doing it even differently. We can even do one kind of via Zoom if we need to. And if you look at the commercials now, some of the big commercials with big national brands have done it with the Zoom Brady Bunch boxes, right? Because they can't get everybody in a room for a one-on-one interview. They're doing it via Zoom. So there's all kinds of creative ways to do it. And with my business and my background, I can figure out how to help people.
With that creativity in mind, how do you get media exposure for businesses and entrepreneurs?
How do you get exposure?
Yeah. So what do you do once you've set them up to do the video and you've got them coached, etc.? So what do you do to help them get themselves exposed via this medium?
So for me, it's multiple fold. It's the strategy. What should we do? What questions should we ask? It's doing a video to showcase really what's going on, their heart, telling their story too. A lot of people don't think, you know, they're like, I'm a financial planner and I do this and I work these hours and, you know, and I'm like, that's awesome. But you need to go deeper into who you are. Why did you get into that business? So once we figure all of that out, it's the storytelling, then you can be pitched to the media. So the media are always looking for different stories, educational, influential, motivational, inspirational, all of that, right? I know because I would get pitched for 30 years. So we would have to create a pitch that, you know, I would like, you turn it into something that they would want, and then you pitch it that way. Sometimes you have to go back and forth. Sometimes you have to say, okay, not this, maybe that. And sometimes it's very easy because you've prepared it and produced it in such a way when you deliver it to them via email, they're like, can they do it tomorrow? And you're like, yep. But it's all that I've worked in this lane for so long. Sometimes I'm like, we're not there yet. We've got to add some things to it. We've got to add something else, or we're there. And then it happens. And that's the magic too, because then you get somebody the publicity, you get them the video done, and then they get the reactions or the numbers go up. And then it's a win because you see it mattering and people connecting and it growing. So that's a big win for me watching it happen.
Speaking of connecting that you mentioned there, you were talking about Zoom and Zoom and connecting. So, and you've held webinars on this subject. So how do you help people use Zoom as part of their marketing tools and everything that you're talking about?
Sure. Good question, William. So really with Zoom, I think people have to be maybe a little bit more creative because we're not in the same room, but don't let that stop you from letting your personality come out, right? In the Zoom meetings, people, depending upon the meeting and the forum, you have 30 seconds or 45 seconds or a minute. And some people, when I did my class recently, they were thinking, oh, I just had to stay focused on, this is what I do, this is how long I've been doing it, you know, that sort of thing. And I'm like, that's fine, but let's mix it up a little bit. I'm not about formula. I'm really not. I'm about connecting with people in the different ways you can. So tell a little bit of a story. Why did you get started in your business? Was it something that happened that made you think, I've got to help other people? That will make other people pay attention to you because your story is different. It's about the story. Or did you do something great? It's about a win, and you be humble about sharing a win. But if you have a win, if you don't share that you had a win, who's going to share it? So share your excitability with helping that client do something great or make a new connection. And in that 30 seconds, if you really think about how to use that time wisely, you can so move that needle. And a lot of people after my recent webinar, they changed up what they said. And I was really happy for them because it's almost like I empowered them to think differently. And then the proof is in, you know, getting the calls afterwards or getting the chat messages like, can we connect? And I'm like, yes, that's what you want.
Fantastic. It's clear that you know how to get people to deliver the pitch better. And I completely understand that, having networked for years in this area. You do have to get that, whether it's your 30-second, 2-minute, 10-minute, whatever it is you're pitching, you have to be able to do it properly and concisely. In relation to helping people with their pitch, and you've kind of explained exactly what you do there, what's been your biggest win during this COVID-19 time?
Well, really, it's the wins of helping spread positivity. So I've worked with a ton of people who are doing great things in the Tampa Bay community. I mean, they're just amazing. So when I would be contacted by them to spread their message, from school people who were doing videos to showcase the positivity in our community, to businesses that were still open, to senior space, helping the people know that they were protecting the seniors who couldn't really get out, the most vulnerable. So my biggest win really was helping a school principal locally who decided, you know what, my challenged community can't get to the food bank. They're working the hours during the day that they can't get there. Meanwhile, they're going to go hungry. Their kids are, they are. So she's like, I'm going to start a food pantry in my school. What? She had never done that before. She just said, I've got to do something. She rallied, community members to give back and donate. And I worked with her gathering collateral and putting pitches together, got her multiple TV interviews locally. So much so good stuff, and spreading that, positivity and people being thankful, contributing, just put a ribbon around it. Awesome. That we pitch it locally and nationally, that the Ellen people called us. And I coached her on the interview. She had to do the pre-interview right before she would get the opportunity to talk to Ellen. What to have in the background, what to say, how to look, what to wear, all of that goes into that interview opportunity. And she did it. She did a great job, but I think it was a matter of so many people doing so many great things that she didn't end up having a one-on-one with Ellen, because so many people, which is just awesome, right, that we're doing great things. Yeah. But she was one of only dozens around the country who was actually mentioned on the show with a scroll of people doing really good things, and she was sent a gift card by the Ellen Show. So I was super proud of that. She just from her heart wanted to do something good and give back. We spread the wealth. People did stories on her. They reached out. They did a story. They reached out. And actually now she has been nominated to be one of the COVID humanitarian nominees for Hillsborough County for doing good things. Well, you can't get better than that. And I just feel super proud, super excited to be a part of getting that message out there to let people know those great people do exist.
Oh, that's definitely a win during COVID-19. Absolutely. Fantastic story. And thank you very much for sharing. So as we come towards the end of the show and the interview, what's next for MEFmedia and for Maureen?
Really doing what I've been doing and what my passion is. It's connecting, helping people maybe look at themselves a little differently. If they're not getting the traction that they want, well, let's figure out why. Like, I look at things differently. I help them see things differently. And then they're like, oh, that makes sense. And if you've never done this, then why would you think of it maybe, right? So it's just helping people, visually telling their stories and helping them grow too. My motto through this has been together we win. And I believe that. Together, we come together, we figure things out. We'll get to the other side of COVID. We'll get to the other side of success. And that's what I'm doing.
Thank you. Fantastic. It's been a pleasure having you on, and it's been an education for me having you on. Obviously, knowing you has helped me understand a little bit about me and what I'm trying to do doing this show, because I started doing this simply to help people get promotion free advertising, as it were, on social media. And it's an absolute honor to have an absolute true professional on the show. I'm an amateur with a business model that's trying to help businesses. You're clearly a true professional, and anybody that's watching or listening to this really should be speaking to you in relation to media marketing. So thank you, Maureen, very much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, William, for all that you're doing and just giving this platform to businesses in the Bay Area. It's really wonderful of you. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I'll hand it over to Dave for the weather. Dave.